We're starting in 5, 4, 3, 2. Going. So wait. So a snowstorm, snowfall.
Yep.
What happened?
Nah, and I don't throw, I'm from Northeast Ohio, brother. Like, I don't throw around snowstorm a lot. It was a legit storm that happened overnight because last night I was portaling with my family and everybody was like, oh, it's so beautiful. It was a gorgeous night last night. I wake up this morning after a wonderful slumber. Have you ever just gone to bed at 7 and woken up at 7?
But who uses the term slumber?
Because I feel like anytime it's over 10 hours, you can use the word slumber.
I'll be honest with you, I fell asleep in the desert last night here in Phoenix suburbs I fell asleep at maybe 7 o'clock, woke up at midnight because of a dog, and then was around the house and awake for hours. So go ahead. I had the exact opposite. So tell me about slumber.
Oh, so I'm in this wonderful slumber. I wake up at 7 o'clock. I've slept for 12 hours, which I needed at 41 years old after a crazy weekend. And I judge snowstorms on how quickly even like SUVs and things that are kind of built for the snow are moving. And everyone was just crawling. I would say that even though I was one of the first people to work, there were people that were 35 or 40 minutes late to work today.
Oh, really? In a broadcast situation?
Yeah, and the reason that I was a little late jumping on the podcast is because I took a friend to her apartment. She just moved here from London, so she doesn't have her bank account set up for Uber, and she could not find a way to where she was going. I mean, people were kind of stranded at the station, so I had to take my Challenger, my 2-wheel drive Dodge Challenger, and I shepherded people through the madness.
Well, thank goodness for you, Al.
Hey, man, there's still some good guys out here. Not me, but I'm sure there's some.
You're one. All right.
So what do you do when you're up at midnight? Because I feel like sleep is this thing that we all talk about, we all take for granted. But I've seen people in my life that I'm close with, and I don't know if you're one of them, that really struggle with sleep. My roommate in college was definitely an insomniac. I would get up to use the bathroom at 3 p.m, and I mean, he would just be on his top bunk staring, and I'd be like, "What's up, man?" He'd be like, "What's up?" And then I think my mom is I wouldn't say an insomniac, but I could go into my mom's room at any point in high school. It could be 3:30 on a Wednesday morning. I could crack her door, and she'd be like, "What do you need?"
When I was way fatter, I could sleep all the time. I could sleep constantly. It was wonderful in those terms. Then when I started exercising more, as I got started running and all that kind of stuff, then it became I had just energy. And I guess it was just more fitness. My body wanted to do things. So it was a complete change, and that changed my world. I was supposed to feel way better, but now after doing all the jogging and exercise, my joints always hurt because I'm 45, and
right.
I took a 25-year break or so.
You should have a lot of energy stored up.
Yeah, you would think that stuff doesn't carry over. Energy just, you'd think that maybe it does. Like, people try to do that in a week. Like, I had a manager at one point that didn't sleep during the week. You'd get emails from him at 2 a.m, and then he'd be still sending more emails at 6 a.m, and then be like, "When do you sleep?" He'd be like, "I sleep on the weekends." I'm like, but I've read about that. That you can't catch up on sleep for real like that. It doesn't really work like that. But I thought for some reason that it would work over a decade, that I could build up the power
right
and use it. But there is just no. It's I don't have any of that. So it now, if I don't exercise during the day, I don't even feel right. I struggle.
That's where you should be.
Sick.
That's awesome.
I guess. I don't know. I'm not happy about having to move all the time. And I have a fat face. So people can't even tell. They're like, "Wow, you've lost a lot of weight except for your face." And they'll tell me that, because we're comedians, people will tell us that kind of stuff. People are way more honest with you when you're
It's
a comic.
the best.
I don't know. It's that whole thing of. I have pictures of me, and I don't know if we talked about this before. I have pictures of me in great situations, like on the Tonight Show, sitting next to Tom Cruise, and it looks like I think he's a meal, like he's so fit and perfect. And I will take you. So
yeah, I feel like some of the best pictures of with my kids at the beach have been ruined because somebody got a picture of me holding their hand walking towards the beach from the back, and you just see your back fat, and it's like, oh God, now you don't show it to people because you're a narcissist.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just it's a completely different world. I'm getting a text from my daughter right now. She tells this keeps happening to me. Okay, so I wouldn't be looking at it if it wasn't my daughter, but she keeps having tests that she tells me she fails, and then she gets a 33 out of 34 on, and she has a Spanish test right now that she got the front of the first page right. And I don't know what is happening after that. She's leaving me for a cliffhanger. So we'll see. But I mean, maybe she'll. I just keep telling her, you're in 7th grade. Just try it. Whatever you get, it doesn't matter. Just work.
I mean, do you think that this might be like a precursor? And obviously, I'm not trying to scare you or anything, but it's something that you have to look for in your kids and see if you can head things off of the past. Do you think she might be a person that suffers from anxiety?
Yeah, my wife is completely suffers from anxiety, so both kids I think have some of it. Not as bad, like full on panic attacks for my wife.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. Then she said that she thinks that's all she got right was the front page, but she does better. It's amazing. She was working on it and studying it, and she's a smart kid, and it's just even if she gets a B on it, she gets a B on it. What's the difference? I don't understand this worrying about if you work hard, that's what you get. That's the level you're at. When you get into high school, it changes a little bit because it starts to count a little bit more. But still, if you work hard and you get the B, that's where you're at. Just live with it and try and the only thing that you can do is study more and see if you felt you didn't study enough, right?
Right.
So she beats herself up over this stuff because she's a perfectionist. My son used to get upset when he'd get one wrong on a spelling test. And now he's like, Dad, there's no way I'm getting an A in this class. I'm just going to settle for the 82. I'm like, oh, okay. Really?
Right.
That's where you're at?
That kind of attitude will keep the wrinkles off his face, though.
Yeah.
I mean maybe the attitude that your son has is a better attitude. Maybe obviously he does well in school, but maybe the best type of attitude to approach life with. I think life is such a long haul that, and I'm sure you saw this with guys that you went to high school with. I feel like some people burn themselves out in high school, whether they were the super hot, destined to achieve person, or the big time athlete, or the big time test taker. I got to get into Harvard or my mom's going to kill me. I just think that you have a certain amount of just a certain amount of, excuse my language, F's to give. You can fill that word.
Well,
in.
it's kind of like what they do in sports now, right? The NBA, they start out okay, but they don't really care until they get hot at the end of the season. The Golden State Warriors doesn't matter. The New England Patriots doesn't matter. They just get hot at the right time. If you burn out in high school and you've done everything you can, and then you get into the most difficult college and you don't have that effort to give anymore, what good is it? Because you're not going to try. And my son is the type of person where he works hard enough most of the time, so he's not trying to get any further than that.
Yeah, but I mean, until he finds that thing that he's super passionate about.
I was looking at you again, and you were so still. I thought I'd lost when you dropped out. You were so still. There was nothing. But so go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's I think when you find that thing you're super passionate about, you're like, this is the thing. And I think I staggered around life until I was 26 or 27, until I found stand up, and then once I started doing it more and more, I was like, oh, this is the thing. And I don't know if everybody's going to find that. I think a lot of people have probably found that and don't even acknowledge it. I think if there's a guy that that tinkers around in his yard or his garage, or is constantly planting things and reposting fences, he might not realize that like his job is whatever, but his real passion is gardening and landscaping. But he's Saturday, no matter rain or shine, I'm out there. It's like you're lucky you found your thing, and whether you make one your thing or not is irrelevant.
Yeah, I wasted all of high school. I wasn't. He's way smarter than I was, or is way smarter than I was, and it's that element of he's pretty good in reading, but his math is crazy. Like he's in pre-calc, which is a junior level honors pre-calc as a freshman, which I as a junior was probably, and I was probably in that as a senior. I was on the average track, and it was way easier back then too. Like you look at the classes the kids are taking now, and in some high schools, I know it's not every high school, but it's unbelievable the intricacies and the specialization they have in classes in the district around here in the different high schools is it's insane. We had like photography and that type of stuff. They have robot building 202, and it's like that specific. You're not just doing technology, you're actually building the robot. All right, it's pretty crazy.
Well, I think these high schools feel like they have to do it to keep themselves competitive. If you want to stay, if you want to keep your district making money, you want to attract wealthy families that know that they're sending their kids to a good pipeline of schools where they're like, I can plop down when my kids they're in the elementary school and have them go straight through without having to send them to private school. And the way you do that is you have really advanced curriculum, and that's the way that.
Yeah, and I think you hit it.
Nice.
I think you hit it on the head. Intel is right here. So Intel has all the engineers, and they have some. So there is some, I think, donating that goes on, but there are also I believe the number one high school in the country is here. This Basis. Have you ever heard of Basis?
No.
It's fully. I think it's funded completely. It might be. It's a charter, but it's not. It's like the charter of all charters.
Right.
Everybody's 2 grades ahead in everything type of a thing, and they teach you to ace all the tests and 5 hours of homework a night, that kind of a thing. So something that my daughter might be into that, but my son definitely wouldn't. And she would go crazy trying to do it. It's not even. But I think of middle school, grade school, to me, you try, you work as hard as you can, but you get a basis for what you're going to do later. And don't stress yourself out too much. She wants to have a 4.0 all the way through. And sometimes my son got 1B in a Spanish class, and he had an 89.9 in the Spanish class, and the teacher gave him a B. He went in to talk to her about something, and the teacher said, well, you were talking during class, and if you're not going to be a friend to me, I'm not going to be a friend to you. And I said, Joe, it doesn't matter. Don't even worry about it. Who cares?
Yes. And then you guys both went and flattened her tires?
No, I just walked away. I've had enough dealings with somebody I get flustered sometimes. It's life. And if somebody doesn't like you and that's the way you feel, we talked about that maybe last time you were talking about you're a teacher and you do have your favorites. He can be a pain in the butt sometimes. I know that, but somebody and it was a life lesson, but I unfortunately I think it made him just not care anymore. Like you can go to one of 2 ways: go and become the fighter, and now you're the underdog and everything. You never want that to happen again. So you could be like Tom Brady, who's always with the Patriots, saying everybody tells us we can't win, or you could just be the Browns for the last few years until now. It's that. Oh, just give up.
Right.
We're not going to do it anyways. Doesn't matter.
Let's just quit.
Yeah.
I mean,
Raiders,
I told you,
man.
That was one of there's a little Gruden.
Yeah, man.
One of the things that got me out of teaching is honestly, I looked around at a lot of the teachers that I was teaching with at the time, no disrespect, no names, but I saw that they genuinely did not like the kids.
Yeah, name them.
And I was
let's
play
a game where you name them. Let's say
yes,
no.
lawsuit. No, you know,
I know it's hard. It's hard to like the kids though, too, don't you think? I went
seventh grade. They're jerks,
and it's tough. I went and talked to some of the kids at high school in the acting class. The teacher had me come in, and some kids raring to go, really wanted to be there, couldn't wait to hear what I had to say. Some never looked up. It was such a different world between kids. It was amazing to me. And then when I started working with them, because they were doing sketches from Saturday Night Live and Key and Peele and stuff like that, and I knew how to help them morph and do these characters, then it was fun to turn some of them, but some of them still just didn't really care. It was just whatever. I'm just in this class to get through the day. But,
yeah, I mean, you start to see those personalities start to form, and I mean that might be until they find their thing, might be their personality. I think there is something to show the world, like you're angry by saying, "Man, I don't care about this. I don't care." Oh, we have a guy from Mad TV showing us how to do sketches. Whatever, dude. Like it's like, all right, you know, some people being too cool for anywhere that they are is their personality. That's their hook. That's their shtick.
That's called LA.
Yes.
That's the thing I always had with comedy in LA. Like you go up and you do those showcase nights. So people who don't know, like when you go on the road, you do stand-up comedy and you're there for the night. Essentially, it's you, maybe two other people for a full show. In LA, you do showcase types of things where you just go up and do 5 or 10 minutes. There's a bunch of industry, and everybody in the room acts like they've seen it all before, and they probably have. And it just is no basis. It's not a microcosm of the country and how the country might react. It's more of just how a lot of jaded people who see something that amazes them, they wake up and they're like, "What was that? I've got to find out who that person is."
Yeah, it's a weird thing, and I mean, I think that in LA you're taught to adopt a personality about who you're going to be, and maybe you're the fast talking networking guy, and I think Midwestern guys, we just kind of show up like, "Hey, what the? All right, where do I stand to do my jokes?" I think I was maybe even too naive when I moved to LA about like the people that would be in the audience. I just did my stuff, and I think that helped me not be as nervous as I probably should have.
Yeah. So what do you got for? You got some stories today? You had some stuff.
I have some stories, and you know, we kind of teased it. The last time I was no, I think we were just texting personally, and we
teased each other with it.
There's a lot of teasing going on, kids. But yeah, you saw my DJ Tractor turntable setup, and you asked me what that is.
Yeah, well, we have to get a still of that and put it on the.
Yes, we'll put it on our YouTube page and on our Instagram, which will be going shortly. Can everybody see this show and tell with the
Up
class?
A little bit.
Oh, look what Al has. Al's got turntables. Oh, kids, yes. Yeah, I just started DJing. First of all, I'm a lover of music.
Oh, wait. You are DJing professionally now?
I have
semi-pro?
Semi-pro. I have my first real gig next Tuesday, so I'm nervous already.
Wait, how did that come about? How do you just all of a sudden have a DJ gig?
I know a guy that has a bar, and I was like, "Can I come in and spin during happy hour and get good?" And he's like, "Yeah."
Okay. Oh, that makes sense. I thought like you were already doing somebody's wedding or something.
Oh, absolutely. I would never.
No, you're going to. That'll be a lot of fun when we have you out doing a wedding.
Yeah, I'll do a wedding. Give me a year. I can put on some electric slide. We'll be fine. But yeah, I just I wanted to start doing different stuff. And then you asked me, you were like, "Are you having a midlife crisis?" And I laughed, and I was like, "I don't know. Am I?" I do drive a sports car. I'm DJing, you know, but at the same time, I wonder what's the difference between a midlife crisis and then you being at a point in your life where you can start to do and get into the things that you're into. You know, I don't know what's the difference. It's like everybody's like, "Oh, look, that 40-year-old guy's got a Corvette. We get it, old man." It's like, well, I wanted it at 22.
Right.
You know, but now I can afford a Corvette now. So I don't know.
Is that what you have?
No. I have a Dodge Challenger.
Oh,
okay. Which I love. But it's and I don't know if it's a midlife crisis car, but it's borderline. But I like muscle cars.
Yeah. Because you're the muscle car of podcasters.
That's right. So I don't know. Do you think you've ever?
What am I, a small SUV? I'm going through the rental agreement. What I am right now. I'm trying to think what I would be, because I'm not. I'm like a small, wide car, but I'm not. Definitely not. Yeah, I'm one of those weaker SUVs. That's what I am. All right, what are you gonna say?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. So, do you think you've ever gone through a midlife crisis? And if you were, I mean, because I think a midlife crisis, in my opinion, the word crisis is the big part in terms of like you blow your marriage up and run away with your secretary and like that kind of thing. But I think I've observed men that I know do that too. I think that a lot of times, and I'd love to get your opinion on this, I think guys, especially from a couple generations back, when you weren't able to kind of choose your own adventure and drive Uber half the time and try and be an actor and also work at your dad's firm, like back in the day, you just had a job your whole life, Frank.
Well, even before back in the day, you had 2 jobs, right? You had
2 jobs.
I remember people talking about, like my grandpa talking about working this job and then doing that, and that's how people would get by, is working multiple jobs. And some people do that now, but I think it was assumed that that's what you had to do at one point early on, and then as life, like careers got better for people, and there were more opportunities that people could do the one job and get by, or dual parent households, both parents have jobs, that changed a lot of things too. So where were you going with that? I started thinking about in my head. And
no, well, I mean, I like that, but maybe I think the midlife crisis that we used to define a midlife crisis was, and I think I saw this with a man that was in my life for a while, not my father, but a man that was in my life. It's just like, I feel like he felt like from age 18 when he entered the military till he got out and he worked for a government service, for the government civil service for 35 years. He was being told what to do every single day. He had kids, he had a wife, and he had a schedule. And I feel like I watched a man completely rebel against that in every way, in that, like, he left his wife, he got with a girl that was, no lie, Frank, 35 years his senior.
Awesome.
38,
awful.
38 years.
Awful.
Oh,
Okay.
I mean, awful. I said awesome. I meant awful. And then proceeded to obviously get bilked out of his money by said youngster. And I think I looked at him and I was just like, it's weird to see somebody that's never missed a day of work in 50 some years have nothing to show for it. And I wonder if it's because he just snapped and he was like, if one more person calls me and reminds me that I need to bring lasagna home, if one more person calls me and reminds me that the lawn needs to be mowed or somebody needs to be picked up, I'm going to snap. And I felt like it was a complete abandonment of responsibilities, as opposed to you and I mean, if you just wanted to if you would have taken an interpretive dance class right now because you thought it would help your stress level, I mean, I don't know if that counts the same as like you not talking to your children for a year.
Right. Well, everybody deals with things differently. I think I've talked to a couple of friends that are about the same age, and everybody goes through this lack of creativity. You look at your life and say, hey, I don't feel creative anymore. I've lost that completely. I don't have it at work. I don't have it at home. And then you try and find yourself again. And some people just realize they aren't happy and haven't been happy doing what they're doing. And their personality is, well, I just need to run away from me. I don't think I could ever do that. I get frustrated at times. I think everybody does, but I also feel like, hey, overall, it could be way worse. That's that grass is always greener thing. I think I'm very lucky and have a lot of fun. As much as my kids might spend time not talking to me at times, and when I do want to spend some time with them, I cherish the moments that I have with them because they're still having some fun with me. My son will send me like I can sit there and try and talk to my son for 10 minutes. Nothing will come out of his mouth. He'll just be staring at me. And then I'll get a text from his room about something, like in the same house, text from his room about something Adrian Wojnarowski just tweeted out about the NBA, or Adam Schefter about the NFL. I'm like, we couldn't just talk about this? He's like, what just happened? I'm like, we want to talk about it? No. Like, all right.
Yeah.
So thanks for texting. Great. Like if I was following those same guys and had my notifications on, I could get that too. He's just what's it called? When they would do that at the Herald, what's the person out in the here come one come all the town crier. Yeah, town. I was thinking John Cryer.
Who could have played a great town crier in any movie. So yeah, right? I'll give you some on that. All right, now Frank, I want to switch gears a little bit and ask you. I talked to you a little bit about my man Brokaw, Tom Brokaw, the Broke. That's not his nickname.
Having a problem, Tom Brokaw in the news.
Tom, you are having a problem. Or is it? Tom Brokaw was recently cited on, I believe it was Meet the Press. Let me make sure. Yes, it was Meet the Press. He said something regarding Hispanics. And Frank, I'm just going to hit you with it, and I'd just like to hear your opinion, and then we'll have a little chit chat. What Mr. Brokaw says is, this is him speaking about Hispanics. You know, they ought not just be codified in their communities, but make sure that all their kids learn to speak English and that they feel comfortable in the communities, he said during Sunday's segment. And it's going to take outreach on both sides, Republican and Democrat, frankly. And then he had later issued some people obviously wrote in saying, what does that mean? And he then responded, I never intended to disparage any segment of our rich, diverse society, which defines who we are. And he also went on to say, we also need to just we need to adjust what we think of as what America looks like. So this meant a lot to me because I've experienced, living in Miami for many years. I had direct experience with this, but I wanted to know, what do you think as you hear those statements?
Well, I think the first thing that I hear is a blanket statement. And anytime somebody gives, I'm doing Brokaw without even trying. Anytime someone gives a blanket statement, it seems there's going to be. You can't. That's the issue I have there. I believe people should have opinions, even if they're wrong opinions. You can't just go. And who am I to say what's wrong? That's another thing. I probably have to be careful about how I say that even. His statement was very blanketed and seemed like it was toward everyone. Like anybody who is from a different country that might be a Spanish-speaking country and comes here isn't having some sort of assimilation. And it seemed to set up a lot of generalizations that I think he has in his mind, and if he has those and he said something like that, I think that's the time to have the conversation, not to go after somebody, to have a discussion and say, well, why do you have these feelings, and then go from there, as opposed to attacking right away. And everybody attacks right away, and that was my initial instinct. And going back, and I saw something on Twitter, and I never believe anything 100% that comes on Twitter, because
you don't.
I know, right? It's immediate. People jump to conclusions, and what I saw was what you said, what you quoted there. I think it was listen, I don't want to put it in the full-on Trumpian type of thing, but that's what Donald Trump does at times, is he will make a blanket statement about people, and it's the negative part, or what could be taken as the negative part first, and then say, and there's also a possibility of something good from these people. And you're just going, well, you missed, what? Maybe you should have started there.
Lead with that.
lead with it, like doing it like a business letter, right? Like when you don't like something and people used to write letters to the airlines and say, this is what happened to me. You start with something. This part of the service was fantastic, but then this happened. So you get somebody to listen and know you're not just telling all your hate first and that's all it's going to be. Have some sort of icebreaker that gets you into it. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say.
Well, I experienced this on both sides. When I remember when I first I lived in Miami for almost 10 years. I taught middle school in Miami. So I would say I have a pretty decent experience with this. The first time I went to go get my license in Miami, I was told to come back because no one, there were only a couple people that weren't at lunch, and the two people that weren't at lunch didn't speak English very well. And this is an American city. I had to leave and come back. But at the same time, when I get to Miami, I then automatically have a lot of friends of Hispanic descent, and they talk about it too. They're like, yeah, you know what? My auntie came here when she was 55. She shops at a Hispanic grocery store. She watches nothing but Hispanic television, doesn't speak a lick of English. And I think that's when people go, see, that's why people need to assimilate. But I think if you think about whoever your family is that came over from the old country, whether they spoke Hungarian or German, it's harder for you to learn to assimilate to a new culture the older you get. And so I would even have parents at my parent-teacher conferences that needed their kids to translate, because that's how quickly assimilation takes place, literally in one generation.
Oh yeah, the kids go quickly.
The kids are beyond fluent. That would be offensive to say you're fluent in English. I'd be like, of course I am. What are you talking about? So like within one generation, you do have kids that are American. And America is just, we are this country. And for as much as we do have our racial and religious and gender bias, like when we go overseas, if you walk into a bar, they'll be like, hey, what's up, Frank? There are two Americans that just walked in. And you don't know what you're going to see when you get over there. There could be two white girls from the University of Kansas, or a black guy and his Asian girlfriend from Boston. So you just don't know. But like, we're all American, and like you do see that American culture and American values are immediately instilled in the generation that was born here. So I think what he's saying is it sounds like a little bit of an older shot at an older demographic that he's taking. Whether it's a shot or not, I don't even want to waste my time.
I think he meant it as a shot. I think it's just
a commentary on, but I don't think younger Hispanic Americans, it's even a thought. They're just like, yeah, it's, they still represent their culture and their heritage, and they're very proud. But at the same time, at the end of the day, they're American, and they probably will speak English as a first language in their house. So, I mean, it's just kind of the transition that people have when they move to a new land.
Yeah, well, I think sometimes it's about if people feel, and whether they have the right not to do this, if there's an effort put forth, they get flustered when people don't put that effort forth. But I've talked to my kids about this as well, in terms of, you talk to your friends differently than you talk to, and this is a much easier case. So don't get me wrong on this. I'm not making a direct parallel. But you talk to your friends differently than you talk to a teacher, differently than you talk to your parents. We all have different parts of ourselves that we use and assimilate in situations every day. Would you agree?
Yes.
And you just do that because now a full other language is obviously much more difficult. And sometimes I think people put that all in the same big tub and mix it around in their head, and that's the same thing. But like you said, you made a great point, which I wasn't even thinking of at first. The older people who come here, that's the people that, advertisers won't even advertise to anymore, because they feel they're never going to change their minds on what products they use. So if they're not going to change their minds on products,
perfect example.
Why are they going to change their minds on the language they're going to speak? Because they already know how to speak that language. At the same time,
we do the same thing. If you and I move to Germany, I feel like if you and your kids move to Germany, and your wife and yourself would be in the room watching American sitcoms on Hulu, and
if I thought I was going to be there for an
out.
extended period of time, I would learn German. I would.
Right.
I would think I would have to. I would, because if you were in then you could never go outside of your little community. If you were fine with that, I guess there's nothing wrong with that, right? Why should there be anything wrong? But if you want to live in that little bit of a bubble, which and I believe you're entitled to, but if you want to go outside that becomes something else. I mean, if you go to Japan, you're going to speak Japanese, right? You would need to. If you're going to go,
I would guess that I would say that there's probably a lot of expats over there and different stashed all over the world. I mean, you've done shows, and there's American stashed everywhere.
Right.
And wherever you are, there's an American bar there that serves hamburgers and fries, and they played Toby Keith on the jukebox, even though you're in the middle of downtown Singapore, because they know there are people that just want that familiarity.
Right, but do they want the familiarity, or do they just live in that little tunnel? I don't know. I don't know. I haven't been in that situation, so I don't know which person I would be. But again, I'm not passing any kind of judgment. I'm just trying to look and see how people, how people would react in those situations.
Well,
and if I were older and didn't care, I would be telling people, I hate you. At a certain point, that's what I'm just going to do. Not to full groups of people, don't get me wrong. But like if somebody says something, you know how old people do that. They just say what's on their mind. So these people just happen to be doing it in Spanish.
That's right. Yeah. And I mean, I think it has to do with how uncomfortable you're willing to be. The more comfortable you want to be, you and your wife will stay at home and watch American shows. You'll stream the NFL. You'll go to American bars. When there's an American act in downtown Berlin, that's when you'll go out. But because that's how comfortable you want to be. You're like, I don't want to learn, and I don't get that language and the intonation, and I don't know if it's masculine or feminine when I'm talking. I don't want to be bothered.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, or you have the other way, where for 2 or 3 years, you're kind of slow asking somebody where the bookstore is, and you get confused with the cab driver because he takes you to the wrong place. But after 3 years, now you're like, hey, all right, I'm kind of getting this. You're starting to get humor. You're starting to be able to crack jokes. You can translate for your friends when they come to visit. But it would take probably a 3-year period of you being uncomfortable almost on a day-to-day basis. So I think it's about what you want to deal with.
But I also don't think it's a prejudice or a racist kind of thing when somebody it might have a generalization and they're wrong, an opinion, or they're an older school. Like if you go to Disney World and you see on the rides that it's written in English and Spanish, and you say, and you go, your feeling is they shouldn't write this in Spanish. Why are they doing that? That I think could border on racism or his racism, right?
Yeah.
But if you go and you say, well, it's in Spanish, oh, that's good, and you're looking at it and going, how many people need Spanish? And you're asking questions. I don't think that's racist. You're just wondering. And the truth is, the dollar speaks, right? So there must be enough people coming there that speak Spanish that they put it in Spanish and they put it in German or whatever. But at a certain point, you can't put every language on there. You can't do it. And to say that you should, I think is impossible to do that as well. Does that make sense?
Yes, I mean that's inclusion at the risk of lunacy.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how many languages there are, but there are a lot. And I guarantee you someplace like Disney, you might say, well, that's not right. They should include everybody. Disney is a business. They are an unfeeling, unloving, cold business. They have a team of market researchers that do a breakdown, an ethnic breakdown of everybody that comes. Okay, we have 64% of our clientele is American, 20% is Japanese, 6% is German, 4% is Hispanic, 3% is Arabic, and they figure out and tailor to those people according to those percentages. If they had 2 straight years where Arabic was the dominant thing, you would have Disney Arabic on ice in a second. They're just worried about the bottom line. They don't. Right. It's not personal. So
now that there was a story that was something like this, maybe a couple of weeks ago, somebody got injured in some type of situation, and this fits in what we were talking about. If you want to live in your bubble, you can. And then when you go outside the bubble, I believe it was Spanish that it wasn't written in, but somebody got hurt on a ride at some place. It was an amusement park of some sort. And it wasn't written in Spanish. And then they're suing because it wasn't written in Spanish. And that becomes, to me, like, I don't know. That's kind of a gray area. Am I crazy on that? Like, I'm thinking.
So if you hurt yourself in any place that doesn't have the language, I mean, Disney did not recruit them to come there. I'm assuming they went on their own behest.
The point is that the bubble that I'm talking about. If you want to go outside that bubble, and you eventually will want to, I think, then you have to realize. Maybe you don't have to realize, but it makes it easier for you to be able to communicate and stuff like that. So if I said that I wanted somebody who doesn't speak English, and this could be German, it could be French, whatever, and they don't speak, I say, man, you really should try and learn some of it, because you might run into a situation where you need that some. And if you're just so hell-bent on not doing that at all, okay, you have every right, I believe, to do that, but it's going to be difficult for you.
Right. Yeah, it's a matter of, like, do your principles, whether they be faulty or not, are they enough for you to sit down on them? Like, I've heard of some people that were like, yeah, to the day my grandfather, I have a friend of mine who's a physician, and they told me that they had a patient that definitely had an acute form of cancer. I'm trying to keep this as vague as possible. And the patient said that he didn't want a woman of color, I'm using better terms than he did, touching him. And he chose to go without treatment, and he passed away. And I was like, if you're willing to die for it, I think every black person would be like, hey, I salute you, bro. If you're going to take that to the grave, you really meant that. He really, like, some people are just like, these are my values, and I believe this.
Unfortunately, and to have rights, he has the right to do that. It's the silliest. For me, I would want the best person. And I don't care who that person is. I want the best person, whether it's the best person in the world or available to me at my price range.
Yes, in the room right there. Yes, whoever.
Like, that's crazy that somebody has that much hatred for somebody with different skin color. It's how you can hate genetics that much.
Think about this. Somebody just told you had cancer, and your first thought is like, this black person. Oh my God. Like, I would think cancer would be the only word you would hear in that sentence. But yeah.
Racism trumps cancer. It does. Did I lose you? Yeah, I'm recording now. That's we did an extra 5 hours that nobody's ever gonna see. The magic of editing is that it'll just white flash in, or like superhero, like the Super Friends.
Are you a Super Friends guy?
I was, yeah. I loved it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, buck at the Hall of Justice.
Such an iconic phrase.
Oh, so great. Where do we go next? So we were we learned that racism trumps cancer.
Right. That was true. Okay, well, let's talk about this. Frank, Super Bowl week.
I love how you start new topics with my name, Frank. Like, that's how you turn the page.
Well, man, I'm excited.
Go ahead.
I'm just gonna say, man, it's Super Bowl week. I went to the Super Bowl last year. That was awesome. And it's, I don't know if you're a Super Bowl party at your house kind of guy, but let's say it wasn't at your house. What kind of Super Bowl party do you think you would gravitate towards, assuming that you are going to go with your wife? Because you have to factor that in, because it can't just be guys breaking the game down. But at the same time, you don't want to go to. Have you ever gone to a Super Bowl party and no one's watching the Super Bowl? And it's maddening. That's
about 80% of them.
Yeah.
Now, Tom Brokaw would ask, what language are they speaking? Are they going to be speaking in Spanish all the time? Well, I like a laid back Super Bowl party with brats and Midwestern kind of comfort food. That's probably, but I don't like a lot of people, and that phrase can be used any way you think about it.
Right.
I don't like to be in a large group for the Super Bowl. Maybe at most 15 people hanging out, maybe 10. But I would rather it be way laid back and I know everybody, because I don't want people asking me about stand-up comedy at a Super Bowl party when I'm trying to watch the Super Bowl. I actually do like watching the Super Bowl, and I've been to a few Super Bowls working for Fox and ESPN, and I much prefer watching it on television, to be honest with you, because when you go to the game, you miss everything else that everybody's talking about, because the game is about, I would say, 25% of what people talk about the next day. It's the commercials, it's the broadcasters, it's the halftime show. None of that you really get the same kind of experience as people watching television. When you're there, you might see Katy Perry coming in on a giant unicorn and be part of that experience. But
if you're
people
taking
saw
up
it on
drugs,
TV,
you can see that at home.
right? You can. Where do they get the drugs? I'll tell you. Sorry, just going from voice to voice. See how they work in, and they can do, I'm like a producer button. Like the producer on the radio station can just press a button and something comes in, and that's where it is. That's my Super Bowl part. I don't drink, so I don't like to be around a lot of people who do drink a lot, because if they do, then I have to drive them home. I have to be the babysitter, and I have no interest in any of that. I want to be a place where my kids, although my kids have filthy mouths now, so it used to be that I didn't want to be around people who talked like regular people. They would be more fake proper during that situation. But yeah, how about you?
Oh man, it's I went to the Super Bowl last year, and then the year before, I went to this really fancy party in Echo Park in LA, and I just don't. It was such a production. Then there were so many people there moving, walking across the screen. And it's like, at first it was a blowout. It was like 28-3. That was the Falcons Pets. And then you felt it changing. But I remember even watching that incredible game, looking around at people and being like, how are you guys not? This is one of the greatest collapses in NFL history. And just, at that point, people are hammered. Whose car's behind mine? And it's like, it's 3rd and 4.
Oh, it's good that you're parked in. Let me just say that.
Yes, it's good that you're driving, ma'am. But yeah, like you said, I kind of do gravitate towards the diehards / casual fans, because I'll tell you who I don't want in my Super Bowl party is the guy that's there eating and drinking and taking advantage of everything, but then is too cool for it, and just like, oh, is this the game where the men have on the tight pants and they kick the ball? What is this? Okay. I get it. And then you tackle him because you're mad at him. And it's just like, I don't
Wait,
like
you've actually had this.
Oh my God. That is like, go on Twitter the day of the Super Bowl and just see what you see. It's going to be so many people that are just like, apparently today's a big day for some people. I don't get it. It's just men tackling each other. So if that's what you're into, it's like somebody's always got to, do the
Everybody
Lucy
hates
Charlie
everything. Yeah,
everything, dude, everything.
Yeah, I've been looking at less and less Twitter over the years. I used to look at it so much, and I was one of those people who used to just tweet out angry, mean things, especially during football games. I think I've told you this before, because I'd gained so many followers just being snarky, and I saw it happening in real life. But I only take that stuff for Twitter, as Jason Whitlock says, if you've ever watched him and Marcellus Wiley, Twitter isn't the real world. It's so much just an echo chamber for people to be heard and congratulated on thinking the same way. It's not about discussion. I don't know how you could have a discussion 140 characters or less, but yeah. So my Super Bowl party is a laid back party, some decent food. If I'm trying, and I'll try to eat better during the week so I can pig out a little bit if that's the situation, and really dig into the food and enjoy the food for that day. But it's the whole thing, and I want it to be laid back. That's me. I don't want. I couldn't imagine get waiters and stuff like people.
Oh, this place had probably it was catered. I mean, it had a staff of 8 to 10 people working in this place, and yes, it does sound cool, and it visually is like, wow, what a house. But I just remember thinking, like, I'd rather be.
But that's like going to a sporting event.
Yes,
it's not. It's not going to a sporting event. It's going to. It's participating in a viewing extravaganza.
I was in a place to be seen, and the Super Bowl happened to be on.
Yeah, that's what that's. I don't enjoy that kind of, and I don't do that kind of stuff at all. I did a little bit when I used to be in LA, and I couldn't even stand that. But I don't go to places to be seen. I go to places because I want to be there, and it's a fun situation. And I don't go to a lot of places because I have that at home.
That's awesome, man. How many people can say that?
Yeah.
Man, you said something and it kind of sparked my interest. I'm sure a lot of our listeners would like to know the answer to this as well. You said you don't eat crazy during the week if you know you want to pig out at the Super Bowl. What was there an exact moment where you were like, I'm gonna start changing the way I eat and exercise? And then, like, what's a good day of eating for Frank?
I saw some of those pictures, like I said, with the Tom Cruise stuff and other Halle Berry. I'm sitting next to Halle Berry and all these people that are obviously taking care of themselves very well around a bunch of professional athletes. And I just at one point said, and it helped on TV too. And I wanted to be alive for my kids, but it helped because I always look like I do an impression of somebody like George W. Bush back in the day, and I look like he got stung by a bee and had an allergic reaction. The wigs, like my head would actually get so fat that the wigs would tighten up. It'll look like you're putting a rubber band around a grape or something.
Yeah, that's a time where your body's telling you, like, we need to change something here.
Yeah. So, but I just wanted to get more fit, and I just made a decision and went for it. It's what I tend to do. I will make decisions in life and then try and make. But right now, eating, I try to eat more chicken right now. That's the protein. I'm trying to eat more salads. You have to say that
because I'm on the podcast.
I don't know what you mean. I do. Here we go. So do I. I think I heard nothing wrong with Tom Brokaw. I think he did a tremendous job. This is where Alan Frank tried to be serious and lost it. But at least we set ourselves up as decent people first before I started getting myself in trouble. Where was I? So I try and eat better, that type of stuff. Less carbs, more, not no carbs, but just try. But here's the problem. I'll get through the day. I swear I've told you this before. I'll get through the day and I'll be at 1,800 calories with 2 hours left, and I'll see cake and I'll eat half the cake. Now I put another 2,000 calories. Now I'm at what did I say? 1,800, 3,800 calories, and all of it's sugar at the end of the day. So I try to throughout the day take little treats, and I'll eat little bits because I feel like you can burn that stuff, whether you can or not. I don't know. But then I don't feel like pigging out at the end of the day. So things in moderation, like they say, seem to work decently. Now I'm salivating because you got me talking about food.
Yeah.
But what about you? Do you have some sort of diet you stick to, or?
I don't know. Well, I just stopped drinking my face off, and that helped. For me, I saw a picture of myself on my agent's boat, and wait a second. What I pictured in that sentence was there was a picture. Your face was on the front of the boat, like a poster of your face on the boat. No, you were on the agent's boat. You were standing on. Yeah, just on the bow or whatever, just leaning against and I just like, I looked like a sack of chewed bubble gum. And
I also want to know who else your agent is representing that they have a boat.
Yes. Well, it was his father-in-law's boat.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was and just from there I was just like, oh no, because you can kind of, you know, guys with the way our clothes fit, you can kind of throw a shirt on and be like, oh, my shoulders look okay in this, and I look all right. But like, you know, like if you lift it up, there's a world of hurt under there.
Yeah.
Like that was yeah. So I was just like, let me just start. So I really didn't realize that all the stuff I kind of like. And Frank, I'm sure you're the same way because we've just been killed with comedy club food. Is I don't crave junk food because that's all I ate for 7 years as a young comic coming up was just wings and quesadillas and fries and, you know, the hush, whatever kind of fried crap they gave to the comics to keep us upright for the show.
I have a problem with the quesadillas.
Are you obsessed with quesadillas, Frank?
No, I'm sorry. Brokaw just keeps coming out and he's just saying terrible things.
Just can I talk to Tom Brokaw about quesadillas? Because Mr. Brokaw, I just want to tell you something. I feel like quesadillas are the most efficient food in the American landscape. You can make them quickly. They're consistently good. They have cheese. You can put anything you want in them, and they're ready in 4 minutes. What do you have to say to that?
As long as you're
Mr.
trying
Brokaw?
other foods, I'm fine with it. You just can't eat quesadillas constantly. If you eat quesadilla after quesadilla, you eventually become what you eat, and you become a quesadilla.
If I have to go out, that's fine. I'll just go out. The man loved his quesadillas. But yeah, man, just trying to be more active, and like you said, just being around. I want to be around for my kids. It's weird. I wonder if we didn't have children, what incentive we would have. I'd just be like, oh, I had a good run.
Yeah, you realize your mortality more and more, and that's why I keep forgetting about my kids. They don't see themselves as mortal. I remember that feeling when I was younger. Just everything, you felt like you were going to live no matter what, eat whatever, do whatever, and then you get. I couldn't even tell you what age. But it's probably after I had kids that I felt the most mortal. I'm like, I got to be here for these guys. Holy cow. All right. Now I'm going to change some things.
Don't underestimate that biological instinct. I mean, we all want to think that we're these kind of special, unique beings, but really there are things inside of us that tell you to procreate, tell you to find a reliable spouse, try and find some kind of shelter and food for it. And then once you have these kids, a lot of people do grow up. It took a while for me, but I had to grow the hell up. I was like, wait a second, I don't want to be here. I want to be with my kids. And it's, you know, it doesn't happen for everybody, I think, but luckily for me and you, it's just like, yeah, once you have your kids, things, I think sometimes kids can cloud the picture for people. But for me, they help clear it up.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of clearing up, I think that's about it for today. We gotta wrap up.
Yeah, man. Well, it was an absolute pleasure.
You don't have to shovel it all, right?
Dude, no. I'm a fancy black man.
Just the way. Oh, now I know you went to that Superbowl party.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I fit in.
I have a turtleneck on, Frank. I'm not.
You do,
not
don't you?
at it.
Look at me. I'm the one with the sweatshirt hoodie-ish kind of thing, and you're the one with the frames and a turtleneck. You're at a Bryant Gumbel party. That's what you're ready for.
Oh, can you imagine the people that he has to go to parties with?
I was at a Super Bowl party, and a young man came in. Really enjoyed him. Does a podcast with Frank Caliendo. I'm only talking in short little phrases, like Jason Witten on Monday Night Football.
Tony Romo's really good.
Tony Romo's fantastic.
He's
we got to save that for a second. We can't get we'll do a whole Super Bowl show. We got to do a whole Super Bowl show.
I am with that. Do you want to do before or right after? It's got to be before with the build up, right?
Yeah, I think we do it before, and then we're gonna have to talk about it afterward too. I think we get on either Sunday night after the show or after the Super Bowl at some point, or Monday, and do a wrap up kind of thing, and then get into our stuff. But I think that definitely. But we should do something before too. I would think that's the smart move.
We have to.
All right. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I don't know if we officially have that yet, but alanfrank.com has all the information, how to sign up for anything that's all scenes us. That's not a sentence. Anything that has to do with us. Just some broadcasters are really good at throwing out plugs. I'm not one of those people. But Alan Frank, trytobeserious.com or just alanfrank.com will bring you all the information, including Instagram, Facebook, the podcast, which you're getting already. So if you're, I don't know, you might be in a time loop or broken the space-time continuum.
And if you have, congratulations.
Yes, way to go. Your flux capacitor is fluxing. All right, that's it. We'll talk again soon.
All right, yeah, definitely. Now let's shoot for Wednesday.
Friendship.
All right, love you, buddy.
Love you.